What's up, nerd family? Oh, check it out. We got people. We got people already in the stream. We got people talking. It's me, Enosh Fett. Welcome once again, nerd family, to the Poindexter Lounge. Today is a good day, right, Landon?
Yes.
I got Landon Calrissian in the car. I had to pick him up and go do something, so I'm getting him some lunch here. But let's see, what are you guys talking about already? Okay, you guys started without me. That's awesome. What's up? We're waiting. I hope you saw Jeremy's new video and see what I told you. Yo, what up? No, I did not see Jeremy's new video. How you doing today? Ready to keep this movement going? That's right, Marquez. We're ready to keep this thing going. Jeremy just made an olive branch, and SJWs are calling everyone names. I am doing good. Counting down. Hashtag I love Star Wars. Hey, Darth Tasty. Hey, Soy, bro. I hope you've seen Jeremy's new video, or if you haven't, check it out. I know I've seen the latest one, but I've seen a couple from the last couple of days. Hello. We're getting Taco Bell here. Just
14?
there we go. What you guys doing? So, I've actually seen a couple of things. I saw. There you go. I saw the Nerd Den actually has started a movement very similar to this, called the Gray Jedi Alliance or something like a Gray Jedi thing. Thank you. I did see that, but we are going strong with hashtag I love Star Wars. So I have not seen Jeremy's new video. The last video I saw of Jeremy's was his live stream from this last week. And honestly, I wasn't impressed with that because as I said in the last video, basically he just took it as an opportunity to, he went off on people who still like Star Wars, said he was willing to debate anybody, whatever. And here's the thing, you know, I'll have a debate, I'll talk about stuff, right? Like, I don't want to get into it with anybody. I'm not here to fight anybody. I don't want to fight anybody. I want to have a conversation. I want to keep a conversation going, and that's what I'm actually having with people. And that's what's cool, is that people are actually messaging me. They're messaging me and talking to me about this. People who don't like The Last Jedi, and they're saying, what is this movement, this I Love Star Wars movement? They're saying, hey, you can love Star Wars, but I don't like The Last Jedi. And I say, that's all right. You can still be a part of this group because I love Star Wars. Landon, do you love Star Wars?
Yes.
As he's eating a gordita crunch. So the thing is that we love Star Wars, and this can be for everybody. Like I've said, this is not to try to change anybody's mind or opinion about the movies. If you don't like the movies, you don't like the movies. I can't change that. I wish that you would like what I like, but we're not all gonna like the same thing. The point of this is that we're gonna stop the negativity, right? That's what we want. We want to stop the negativity. We want to stop this bickering and these name calling and stuff. And I mean both sides. This has got to stop, folks. We got to stop calling each other names, stop being rude to one another, and start having dialogue and discussion. You should not hate me because I love Star Wars. And I should not hate you because you have a problem with a movie. This thing has like started to eat the fan base, tear it apart, just eat at the fan base and tear it apart. And we got to stop, folks. We've got to come together as Star Wars fans and stop this nonsense, okay? And here's the thing. I get it. Some people, you know, like I've had legitimate people, and I thank them every time. Every time somebody messages me and says to me, Enosh, you know, I don't like The Last Jedi. I don't like what they apparently are seeing as identity politics, and they're seeing these things in the story that honestly I just don't see. And I am not a subscriber to identity politics. I am not somebody who gets into all that stuff. I'm not a SJW. I'm not fighting for that cause. So here's the thing. I am the voice of normal people, regular people in the middle, who absolutely love Star Wars who are not SJWs, but guess what? We like The Last Jedi. We love The Last Jedi. We love all of Star Wars. We love the prequels. We love the original trilogy. And yes, we even love the sequels. We just love Star Wars. And I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. You know, but like, I don't feel like I should have to apologize to anybody because I love Star Wars. Like, I don't feel like I should be insulted and told I'm some SJW or you know, some you know, crazy person, you know, and just because every time I mention, oh, you're wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I love Star Wars. I can like what I like. Just like you're not wrong if you didn't like The Last Jedi. I can't tell you you're wrong for not liking something because it's all subjective. It's film. So like why are we arguing about that? Here's the thing. People can read into anything what they want to read into. Here, you know, and you want to know a case in point. So I used to play in a band called Antioch. I play in a band right now called Waking Vegas, but I played for 10 years in a band called Antioch. We were just a regular rock band, okay? Just a regular rock band. I mean, and that's what we always got, you know, billed as, right? We played with a bunch of heavy bands back in the day, back in the mid 90s. That's where I cut my teeth as a musician. And it was great. And we recorded some songs. And I got this one song, it's called Take the Water. Take the Water to the Desert. And it's a groove song, you know. It's got this bass line that comes in, it goes it's pretty cool. And it's got some guitar work that goes over that and stuff, and it was always a fun, upbeat song to do. Somebody once told me that the song sounded like Tool, the band Tool. That song doesn't sound anything like the band Tool. I mean, I like a lot of Tool stuff, but and that's cool if somebody wants to think that my stuff sounds like Tool. But honestly, the song doesn't sound like that to me. And I've told other people that, and some people have gone like, nope, that doesn't sound like Tool. But then somebody else said, you know what, it kind of does. So it's all subjective. And that's what we're talking about here, right? Right? We're talking about things that people either like or they don't like. So to argue about the fact that you like or that you don't like The Last Jedi or Solo or Rogue One, like, okay, so here, case in point, everybody, all these people who supposedly hate The Last Jedi, hate everything, they like Rogue One. Rogue One is not my favorite of the movies. It's there, as you hear Landon inhaling his chalupa here off camera. But it's there for me. It's a story that, hey, you know what? It's kind of cool that they told that story, but it's not my favorite Star Wars movie. And I don't understand like all of the hype about it, that people just absolutely are just like, oh, it's the movie. This is the best of the Disney movies. Cause I just don't see it that way. I respect their opinion, but it's just my opinion that it's kind of slow. It's hard to get into a lot of the characters because, you know, all the characters are going to die. You know, spoiler alert. You know, that's just my opinion. But guess what? It's all subjective. Right? And so, so the thing is that when I say hashtag I love Star Wars, I shouldn't have to wade through a pool of people who just don't get it and don't want me to like Star Wars, right? Like, what is up with that? Like, why is it got to be that I have to answer to a bunch of people, you know, because they think that there's SJW undertones, because they think or they read into it that there's identity politics, that I can't like Star Wars. Hey, stop making so much noise. So that I can't like Star Wars, right? I mean, that's stupid. That's just dumb. And then I tune in every time I try to tune in and see what's going on and see what people are saying and what's going on. All I see is live streams calling everybody who likes the stuff mouth breathers, that were stupid, we're dumb, we couldn't you know, argue our point and stuff. That's funny because nobody's called me. Nobody's messaged me. Jeremy ain't ever messaged me and said, hey, you want to talk about Star Wars. Because if Jeremy messaged me, I'd talk about Star Wars. And no, I'm not a mouth breather. No, I'm not an idiot. I'm not stupid. I am articulate, and I can make my points. And he can make his. That's fine, right? But I'm not going to get into a stupid conversation like he got into on his live stream this week, calling himself a tripod. That's dumb. What does that have to do with anything? That is your leader. That's your leader. Is doing a live stream talking about his genitalia and calling himself a tripod and saying that everybody else is stupid and mouth breathers and uneducated and whatnot. But yet he didn't even graduate high school, which, like I've said before, is not a problem. People make great things out of themselves all the time. You know, like my dad dropped out of high school, and he has done very, very well for himself. So that's neither here nor there, but it's like you can't cast stones at everybody else. Like the whole world is stupid except for you. I don't make those claims. Nobody else should be making those claims. And that's why hashtag I love Star Wars is this important. Because we need to stop with this bickering, stop with this stupidity, and move on as a fan base. And we can move on. And you know what? Here's the thing. All these people, I've had some people message me and say, you know, Enosh, you know, Disney has insulted the fan base. They've attacked the fan base. They've done this and they've done that. I challenge you. Break it down. Really look at what's been said. You know, they keep repeating things over and over like a mantra to the point where they don't really have any points anymore. They just repeat the mantras. You know, oh, well, you know, let the past die. You know, kill it if you have to. It's a reference in the movie. Disney never came out and was like, oh, you just gotta let the past die. All these rumors, and that's what they are, is rumors that, you know, they don't want to use any of the original trilogy stuff because they have to pay George Lucas. That's all rumor. None of that is fact. Nobody has ever proven that. Nobody has ever come out with any documentation that says that. And furthermore, there's a lot of stuff that goes to the exact opposite of that because there's still lots of original trilogy stuff in these movies. Characters, vehicles, scenarios, all these things. But you know, but that's the thing is they'll talk out both sides of their mouth. On one hand, they'll say, well, you know what? They're just doing new stuff. They're just going away from the traditional stuff and not using it. And then they go, oh, they're just copying the old stuff and just repeating the same thing and having the same thing. You can't have both ways. It's either one or the other. Either they're eliminating everything from the past and they're just doing new stuff, or they're just rehashing and they got a bunch of stuff from the old trilogy, right? That doesn't make sense. We have to see things for what they really are. Actually do the research. Don't just listen to YouTubers spout stuff who are just trying to get clicks, who are just trying to get followers. I watched a video from the Nerd Den last night, and you know, he did some stuff that kind of got him in trouble with the fan base because he released some possible spoilers and you know, and did some things like that, and some people kind of turned on. But he's trying to do what we're doing, is get people gathered together, right? And organized. And that's what we got to do. We got to be organized, because that's the thing, is the fandom menace is organized. I'll give him that. See, Caleb right here says, I was once told that I was a shill for liking Last Jedi and that I was bowing down to the House of Mouse. That couldn't be less true. I am very critical of Disney. Exactly. So am I. If I see something that I don't like, I say it. I am not a shill. Nobody's paying me. Nobody cares about me. I got a channel with a little over 7,000 subscribers. Jeremy, I'm not on Jeremy's, even Jeremy's, you know, list or whatever. Now, I will say, though, some people on Geeks and Gamers, they apparently have watched the channel, and they've mentioned us in his live stream, and apparently they think that we want on his hater. All right, I think we're back. Yeah, here we go. I'm just saying, let's stop this negativity. Let's move in a positive direction. You know, that's all I'm asking for. And I'm not alone. And I'm blessed. I'm so blessed because so many of you have reached out to me. So many people sending me messages and copying me on their tweets and just different things, saying, you know what? Yeah, I'm kind of tired of this too. And it's not all just, it's not it. There's a lot of people who actually didn't like The Last Jedi who are in the same exact boat. They're tired of it too, because negativity eats at you, and after a while you don't want to be involved in it. You want to leave that, right? I mean, I had a conversation with somebody who said, well, I feel a reason for the negativity. And for me, I feel that negativity never is the answer. Being negative and all those things are never the answer, because negativity just brings you down. It brings you down. It doesn't do anything to help others, right? And you know what, Marquez, I may do that. So hey guys, tag me. Right, Darth Tasty? That's the thing. We don't have to like everything, but we don't have to be negative about it either, right? And that's what I want, Marquez. You're absolutely right. I want people to remember what they love about Star Wars, because I think that if people remember what made Star Wars great to them and what inspired them in Star Wars, that they can take that to that will break this chain of negativity. Because there's a lot of people out there that just they've been inspired by Star Wars. You know, they're doing great things now. They're in all kinds of different mediums and animation and film and just good people, just because they love Star Wars, right? Speaking of Kevin Hart, when I was getting on the plane yesterday, I wanted to film him so bad. I wanted to film this guy so bad, Landon. I come around this corner and this guy getting on the plane with me, I swear it looks just like Kevin Hart. And like, I had to do a double take. I was like, what is Kevin Hart doing on my plane? Especially given the fact that, like, you know, like I was the 5th group boarding. So it was like, you know, if Kevin Hart was actually on my plane, he would have gone right away. But it was funny because I looked at him and I had to go up and talk to him. And so I went up to him, I said, hey man, you know, I came around the corner and he goes, I know what you're going to say. And I said, oh really? And he goes, yep. And I said, people tell you look like Kevin Hart, don't they? And he goes, all the time. He says, all the time people tell me I look like Kevin Hart. And, but he was joking. He says, but you know, I'm taller than Kevin Hart. So I just remind people about that, because he was taller than Kevin Hart. But no, it was funny. His name was John. He was on his way back to Chicago. And so we just had a little fun talk or whatever, because you know what? I'm a fun guy, and I love people. I can make a friend in an empty room. And so I love to talk about Star Wars. Right, Landon?
Right.
I love talking about Star Wars. Star Wars is important to me, and I think it's important to a lot of you. And but that's the thing. Bless you. Negativity is just is going to eat away at you, and after a while, it makes you bitter, makes you angry, makes you so that you don't think straight. You know, and I think that's a lot of this too, is people just aren't thinking straight. They're taking every little thing that's ever said by Disney or done by anybody, and they're taking it personally, and they're acting like you know, like Disney's insulting them and lashing out at them. And I'll be honest with you, so the people who've made comments and said things, the people who've made comments and said things, those things are directed at the people who are perpetrating this negativity. And you got to see it as that. Everything's not about you. Everything's not just because you don't like The Last Jedi. Okay, my thing is if you don't like a movie, that's fine. You don't like it, you don't have to support it, you don't have to buy it, you don't have to do anything. You can wait till the next one. But when you have people trying to organize people to boycott stuff, to call for the firing of people, their livelihood, whatever, and then to go even further and like just say vulgar, awful things about Kathleen Kennedy, about Ryan Johnson, about J.J. Abrams, to just constantly be insulting, what kind of reaction do you think you're going to get? I don't understand this thought. It's like this reaction of oh, I'm gonna attack you, but you don't have the right to say anything in your defense. You don't have any right to say anything about me and my immature behavior. I can attack you all day. I mean, how many times, we can do a poll right here. How many times have you heard somebody call Rian Johnson Ruin Johnson? Talking about that he ruined Star Wars. How many times have you heard Kathleen Kennedy insulted and put down and called to be fired? And I'll be honest with you, I think it probably is time for her to step down. I've been honest about that, right? Because she's had a hard time keeping directors and writers for these movies. And that's an issue. That's a problem. Yeah, call me a shill, but yet I'm telling you, she's probably got to go now because she has not been able to solidify these appointments. When we just had Benioff and Weiss leave, and Lord Miller left, and Josh Trank. Josh Trank probably should have left, but you know what I mean. But so you got that. How many times have you heard J.J. Abrams referred to as Jar Jar Abrams? Right? How many times have you heard him insulted? For him, people can't make up their mind. There's some people who like him. There's some people who say, well, he just copied Star Wars, like we hate him, blah, blah, blah. People can't make up their mind about JJ, it seems. And JJ's got a big task because now he's trying to finish out this trilogy. How's that going to work? That's a big task. But, these are all people who don't make movies. Right, Caleb? Exactly. So if you're watching this and you don't see Caleb's comment, Caleb was talking about, I'm going to read Caleb's comment right here. He says, I remember meeting Ahmed Best, and the dude is a shell. And the dude is a shell. He receives hate mail on the daily. He attempted suicide a few years ago, all because of negativity from fans. Oh, but you guys don't remember that stuff, do we? We don't remember why George Lucas sold Star Wars to begin with. It's because people attacked him. People didn't want George Lucas to be in charge of Star Wars anymore. So we got to attack George Lucas so much that they made a movie about it. The People versus George Lucas. You can download the Tubi app and you can watch it on there. And you can see Star Wars fans can be super toxic. And so this is not something new. This is not something that is I don't know what the word I want to use for it. It's not something that we can just look at and go, oh, well, it's just a response to these bad movies. No, it's not. Star Wars fans have been like this for quite a while. I mean, when you're pushing people like Ahmed Best because you don't like Jar Jar Binks, and do I like Jar Jar Binks? No, the character is ridiculously over the top, cartoonish, and and whatever, and I don't like Jar Jar Binks. But the fact that fans pushed him to that point where he was so despondent that he attempted suicide. Now I gotta, Soy-based Jeremy, you need to send me a link, man, to this Hello Greedo stuff because you brought up Hello Greedo yesterday. And I'll be honest with you, I like Hello Greedo. And I have not seen Hello Greedo say anything controversial or do anything, but if you're telling me that, look, I'll listen to anything. If you're telling me that he said something negative about George Lucas or whatever, I'll listen to it. I'll absolutely listen to it. You send me anything, I'll listen to it. I want to educate myself. I want to know what's going on in the fan base and in the fandom. But just saying he attacked him. Well, what does that mean? Right? I mean, like, what does that mean? He attacked him. What did he say? What did he do? Because I'll be honest with you, I've watched Hello Greedo. Hello Greedo is very balanced. He tells it how it is. He's positive on some things and he's negative on other things, but he's not like overbearingly negative about anything. And here's the thing: is George Lucas is not above reproach, anyways. That's one of these things about the fandom menace that I don't get is like they're all like George Lucas. Well, George Lucas says it's for kids. No, it's not. George doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, really? Like they just go back and forth, right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like the minute George Lucas says something that they don't like, well, George Lucas, he doesn't really understand this. He may have said that, but he doesn't really mean it. Oh, but George Lucas was offended and hurt or whatever. George Lucas is a grown man. A grown man. The dude is old now. The dude was challenged when he made the original Star Wars. He had to overcome adversity. That's why the first Star Wars movie is so great, because he had to overcome adversity. Unfortunately, as time went on and George got more money and George got more control, nobody could tell George no. If you watch the behind the scenes featurettes from episode 1 and episode 2, it's ridiculous, because all these young kids got this job to work on a Star Wars movie, right? And hold on, Soy Base Jeremy, because we'll talk. I understand. I know the whole Bob Iger thing and everything, that he's disappointed. But here's the thing. George Lucas, if you watch the behind the scenes stuff from episodes 1 and 2, there's a bunch of young kids in there working on animated stuff. And George would come in and look at stuff, and you see him, he picks up models and he looks at them and stuff like that. Nobody told George no. And that's why the prequels were wooden. That's why, because he has a hard time writing dialogue. That's just the truth. Harrison Ford, it's like people act like you can't say anything about George Lucas. Harrison Ford, back in the day, told George to his face, you can write this stuff, but you can't say it. Because everybody admits, Carrie Fisher admitted, Harrison Ford admitted, Mark Hamill admitted that he didn't write good dialogue. And you know what? Yeah, you're right, Soy Base Jeremy, calling the person who created Star Wars and saying that he doesn't understand Star Wars is a slap in the face. I absolutely agree with you. And that's why I have a problem with everybody yelling and griping about the fact that George said that these movies were for kids. Because George absolutely said these movies are for kids. But the fandom menace says to that, and I've watched video after video after video when George Lucas says that, they went off on Freddie Prinze Jr. because Freddie Prinze Jr. said these movies are for kids. George Lucas says so. Dave Filoni says so. No, they're not for kids. Maybe it's just that I'm a 43-year-old man who likes something that is for kids. You ever think of that? And everything for kids doesn't have to be whitewashed and clean, and because they're like, oh, well, there's murder and there's everything else in it. Yeah, so what? I grew up in a generation that wasn't protected from everything. I just got back from Seattle, and when I was 5 years old, No, Soy Base Jeremy, that is not true. He did not say it was for young adults coming of age. I can send you the link that absolutely says where George Lucas says he's talking about the fans. And see, that's what nobody wants to admit. He's talking about the fans and says there's a segment of the fans that are toxic, that are these fanboys who don't want any comedy in my movies, who don't like sidekicks like Jar Jar Binks, and they don't understand that these movies are for kids. Exact quote. So what do you do with that? He didn't say they're for young adults coming of age. That's not what he said. That's not what he said at all. He said these movies are for kids. And here's the thing. Because, you know why they were for kids? Because it was made in 1977. Kids nowadays are sheltered, put in bubbles. They got their little laptops and stuff that they're able to do little games to teach them stuff, and they watch these little kid shows and everything that speak down to kids and make kids to be these little like bumbling idiots. Back in my day, and I know I'm going to sound old saying this, but back in my day, kids were smarter. Kids were not talked down to. Kids learned stuff. Kids were given more freedom. Like I said, I just got back from Seattle and I went out in the woods. I found this place that my dad used to live. Okay? I found this place that my dad used to live. When Landon was 5, there is no way that I would have let my son play in the woods out behind where this apartment was, because it was like this apartment, and then there was like these 2 other rows of like apartment buildings, and then there was this like deep woods, like where there was just like were forts, and there were things that were tree swings that we swung from and everything. And I went back in there and I got a video of it. I'm going to post it here on the channel because it's freaky now. It's like some Blair Witch stuff because there's been all kinds of homeless people living back in there and everything. And I was kind of a little freaked out even being 43 years old walking back through there, right? But here's the thing. I wouldn't let my 5-year-old back there, but it was a different time. It was a different time. And those movies were absolutely for kids. They were fantasy. They were a fantasy story about a princess, about a farm boy, about a swashbuckling pirate, and a dark knight. Those were all kid stories. We just liked them as adults. And that's it. And that's from George Lucas. George Lucas himself says that. But everybody wants to harp on this stuff. George Lucas is God until George Lucas says something that they don't like. And then all of a sudden, no, we don't. George Lucas doesn't understand that. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I think it's a good thing that George Lucas didn't continue. Because when you start reading about what he says that his trilogy was going to be about, no, I didn't want a new trilogy about midichlorians. That's boring. That is not, I mean, it's bad enough it was in the prequels. I don't want that for the sequels. I don't want that going forward. I want movies that do something. And I don't know who this guy, here's the thing. People talk about all these politics and identity politics or whatever. And I agree. I don't want identity politics in my TV shows, in my movies, any of those things. And I stopped watching Supergirl. I'm the biggest Superman fan you'll ever see. But I stopped watching Supergirl because of the identity politics, because of the SJW stuff and the pandering to these, causes and stuff. Where the stories make no sense. The stories are all second nature, right? I hear you, Soybase, Jeremy. Because you know what? I didn't know my dad until my late 20s. Literally my late 20s. I just got back from seeing my dad. And that's like the 3rd time I've ever seen my dad. 4th time, I think, I've ever seen my dad. So I hear you. That's what Star Wars takes me back to. It takes me back to those times in the late 70s, early 80s, man, that I loved those times. Those times were important to me. And I get it. But the thing is that I think there's a lot of people reading into things in Star Wars. I can't convince them otherwise, right? I mean, that's their prerogative. That's their thing. If they think that that's there, I guess so. But you know what? When I watched The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi, I don't see these identity politics. I don't see anybody trying to ram anything down my throat and tell me that somebody's got to be a certain way or whatever. Because you know what? I see that Rey is a lot like Luke. Luke got a lot of credit for a lot of stuff that Luke didn't do. Luke didn't have a lot of training either. Sorry, but he didn't. I just don't know. I don't see it. Yeah, the Canto Bite stuff, that was a little weird, trying to talk about the animals and everything, and I get that, but I don't even chalk that up to being whatever. It's just kind of like a boring part of the movie. That's like, but there's always like boring parts of movies that just kind of skip over and you're just like, whatever, I mean, you know what I think is dumber than that? Padme dying of a broken heart. We don't understand why she's dying, but she's just sad. She's just really, really sad, and so she dies. She were never a gaming guy. My gaming, I'll be honest with you, my gaming is old school NES, Nintendo, and my Sega Genesis. And I actually even have an Intellivision game system. Every once in a while, we got every game system at the house, whatever, and every once in a while I find something that I like, and I go with that, and I play a game till its end. But I like to sit down and play a game, and Padme died since Palpatine took her life. Did he? because that's not what was said in the movie. What was said in the movie was she died of a broken heart. That's exactly what happened in the movie. I mean, so if we're just going by the movie, I just watched the movie, and the movie says that there was nothing wrong with her. Now, you know what? I'm fine with an in canon description saying that Palpatine somehow manipulated her and killed her from afar or whatever. But Anakin stops breathing. I don't understand what the. I guess I don't understand what you're trying to say there. But Soy-based Jeremy, listen, I love the EU. Okay, see, these are all things that I know that the Fandom Menace argues. I love the EU as well. But the thing is that you couldn't just use the EU, because at this point in time in the EU, the story was just bland. The Yusuf Vong invasion and all that stuff, there was some good stuff there, but like there was too much stuff that had passed. We had to have something else. And even Jeremy, I've heard say, like, I get it. Like they had to do away with it and put you know, more into it, right? They that they had to do away with the EU, the legend stuff, and start over. And slowly but surely they're introducing more stuff. Trust me, you got my ear on that, because I love Mara Jade. Mara Jade's one of my favorite characters. And does it tick me off that Mara Jade is gone? Absolutely. Absolutely it ticks me off that Mara Jade is gone. But this idea that you know, that they should have just continued, you can't, not with those characters, unless you recast Luke and you go from Return of the Jedi. Look, because I love the Thrawn trilogy, I love the Jedi Academy trilogy, I love like all those books, man. Those books were awesome, right? Dark Empire, but I had some people here on the stream the other day trying to tell me Dark Empire sucked and that was bad and all this stuff. You know, I mean, who were Fandom Menace people, you know, that they didn't like that either. So it's like, you can't please everybody, man. I wish we could. I wish we could please everybody, but we can't. When Padme was dying, Anakin died on the table. I don't know, man. I've never heard that. I've never seen that. Look, Soy-based Jeremy. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let's say, because I love the Thrawn trilogy, I'm right there with you, right? Timothy Zahn captured Star Wars in a book, in 3 books, which was amazing. But here's your deal. If you redo that, you got to recast everybody. If you do the Thrawn trilogy, you got to recast everybody, and the fans would have lost their collective minds. If Disney had come out and said, we're gonna make these books into a movie, which I would have been like, yeah, but I would have been mad too, because you know what? You would have never seen Mark Hamill again as Luke Skywalker. You would have never seen Harrison Ford again. You would have never seen Carrie Fisher again. They would have moved on, and they would have hired new actors, and it wouldn't have been the same. And you wouldn't have made anybody happy. Nobody would have been happy. So the reality is that they did these sequels 30 years later, man. Right? That's what the reality is. You know what? I agree with you. Soy-based Jeremy, I agree with you. I would love for them to do some EU movies. And they have introduced so many EU things back in. I mean, we got Thrawn. I want to see them do something with Thrawn and Ezra and explain like where he went and stuff. But we've gotten great books about Thrawn, explaining Thrawn's life and different things. And so they continue to introduce new EU elements all the time, because I think that they see that the fans want those EU elements, that we want those characters and some of those things, right? But they couldn't go back and just make the Thrawn trilogy, man, because people would have lost their minds. People would have been ticked had they done that and recast everybody. So it just goes to show you we can't make everybody happy. Akbar's death is mediocre. I hope that we could. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And here's what I have to say about that. Akbar, I didn't like that at all. That's what I'm saying. The Last Jedi. It's not that I like everything about it, right? It's not that I like everything about it. I agree with you. You know, putting 3PO in there is just kind of silly. The red arm thing, I don't get that. That was just kind of silly. It was just there for comedic relief and whatever. It is what it is. But as far as the Akbar thing, Akbar should have definitely had a better going out or remained alive. But I will say this. The identity politics that people want to talk about with Admiral Holdo putting Poe in his place, Poe needed to shut up. I like Poe, but Poe had no authority or right to know what was going on in that case. You have a vice admiral. You have a vice admiral who's taken over, who's got a plan, who's doing her thing, and you have a guy who was just demoted by Princess Leia and slapped in the face for what he did, causing the death of so many people just to take out one dreadnought. And you got him demanding to know? Now, I've talked with many of my friends who are in the military, Marines and Army people, and I've asked them, because this is a source of contention, and I've asked them, let me ask you, if you had a vice admiral, if you had an admiral on board a ship, and you had a guy who's just demoted like that, and he comes up demanding to know what the plan is, does he have a right to know? And overwhelmingly, all of them say the same thing. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because they don't. Poe needed to shut up. And I will say this. People claim identity politics all they want with Holdo, but I guarantee you if that was Admiral Akbar, if Admiral Akbar had still been around and he was the one who told Poe to get off his bridge, everyone would have applauded because Poe was acting like a spoiled brat and he was in the wrong. And that's just the case. Absolutely, Soy-Based Jeremy, I agree. Akbar should have been the one. But you know, they wrote it and Holdo was there. So like, but you can't get mad at Holdo. People get mad at Holdo for putting him in his place like that was a bad thing. Holdo was just who was there. So Holdo had every right to tell him to shut up and get off her bridge. It doesn't matter if she's a woman, a man, anything else, right? I mean, I agree. I would have loved to have seen Akbar have that moment, but he didn't. Oh man, I'm watching. Ooh, that was close. Thought we're in a parking lot and I thought a cart was going to hit somebody's car. Oof, that would have been bad. Hey guys, what's up, Jeremy Harris? Well, guys, my phone is going to die. I'm doing this on my phone in a parking lot, and actually I got to get going. But Rose Tico isn't needed. That's a discussion. Let's have that next time. All right, keep that in mind. Let's have that discussion because my phone's gonna die and I got less than 10% battery. So here's the thing: we'll have that discussion. We'll talk about Rose Tico. These are the things that we need to talk about. These are the things that the fans need to talk about and come to some common ground, right? And have real discussions. Get rid of the hate. Get rid of the negativity, and come together. Because you know why? All right, charge your phone. I know. I wish I had one of those. I got to get a portable charger. I don't have a portable charger. Unfortunately, I can't charge in this van. But hey, guys, hashtag I love Star Wars. Use it everywhere. Tag other people. Tag other Star Wars people. I've tagged Mark Hamill. I've tagged all of Star Wars Creative and everything. A bunch of people who work at Lucasfilm. Keep doing it, man. Let's get some people's attention and get people noticing that we love Star Wars and we're standing up for it, and we're gonna keep this thing positive. Till next time, I'm Enosh, aka Enosh Fett, and over here this guy who's on his phone, Landon Calrissian. We'll see you guys next time. May the Force be with you.